Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. I was really trying to get this video out earlier this weekend, but I thought, okay, better late than never. So a volatile period. We started off Friday. Let's just start off with that. Let's take a look at what was going on Friday, right? Gold, silver, GLD down $50.95 at the close, and it was down a lot more earlier. And this should be a weekly view. Down 1305 on the week. Doesn't look so bad when it's on the weekly view, except when you're looking at from the high. Pretty ominous looking hanging man type candle on Thursday. And then we got that huge plunge on Friday. So we'll take a look at silver in a second. Right now, I continue to look at this and think that we have not completed a fifth, let me just go to the weekly view, a fifth minor wave. This pattern, forget about those out there. They're just linked together. What I'm focused on right now is this wave right here. So we're trying to finish off 5 waves up within intermediate wave 3. And I think the way this looks to me is that this final wave structure, that we've got 3 and possibly have just begun the 4th in here. And so, yeah, pretty choppy, could be very volatile, could just be messy, going sideways for maybe 2 months. And we'll see what happens. Maybe it won't even be that long. But that's the picture. That's where I think we sit with gold. Am I jumping in to buy right now? No. I'm going to see what happens, especially since I think we're in the 4th wave, which can be very messy. All right, so let's take a look at SLV. SLV was down $30.19 on Friday alone. Same kind of pattern, a hanging man candle sitting on Thursday, and a bearish engulfing candle for the week. A lot more bearish looking than what we just saw on gold. And the wave count I've got in here is similar. Let me just go to the daily view in here. I'm trying to finish off 5 waves within this 3rd minor wave in this case. And so right now, I think that we had a big 3rd wave and that we are trying to flesh out a 4th wave. We'll see what we get. And again, if we are truly in a 4th wave right now, 4th waves can go like this wave structure. It can go a lot deeper than this. It could go down into the 4th wave of 1 lower degree. Okay. And, it can be very messy. You can have a flat, which is like a 335. You can have an expanded flat. You could have a combination of flat and a triangle, or you can have a triangle. A triangle's, 3, 5 different 3-wave structures, and they can become messy. So we'll see what plays out here for the 4th wave, but that's where I think we sit. And we'll see what kind of waves and price action we get over the coming weeks here in both of these. But volatility started on Friday. And, and Bitcoin started to get hit too on Friday, I believe. Let me go right there. And let's talk about GBTC. And it really doesn't matter. It was Thursday and into Friday. It really doesn't matter whether you're looking at GBTC or IBIT. Okay, because it's the same exact price structure, same exact price action, except IBIT's got a lot more volume going on. Okay, so this 20-day average volume here on IBIT is 59 million shares, a lot more active. Now, the reason I stay with charting GBTC is because I've got a lot more history to work with on GBTC. And so the wave structure I've got in here, I'm looking for this flat, this expanded flat to complete, okay? Now, this is the April 25 low. And from my understanding, Bitcoin on Saturday continued to plunge and I believe took out the April 25 low, okay? So this is my first target on a flat like this. The first target is to come down to where wave A ended. But then we're also looking that when we do that, we're well into this prior 4th wave over here, okay? And you can go as low as a prior fourth wave, which, what is that? That's August of 24. So if we come over here and take a look at Bitcoin futures and ignore the fact it says May 2020, these are giving me the current futures trading as it exists right now. Okay, so daily, weekly, weekly on the left, daily here on the right. Here's what's going on. And when you take a look at the price action, here's that April 25 low. And where is that? The low, 74,635 on the futures. And I believe we got below that this weekend. Let's see. Let me refresh something. I'm looking at another screen. I see Bitcoin trading right around 78 right now. And earlier today hit 76,961. So yeah, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we haven't taken this out. We got very, very close. So it'll be interesting to see if we go as low as what I just showed you on GBTC. That's all the way over here in August of 24, and that's around 50K on Bitcoin futures. So I don't know that it's going to go that low. You got a lot of trading that occurred in here between 73 and 50, especially, you know, in this area here. So we'll see what kind of wave structure we get as this works its way down. You can see this area right here that was support 3 times, created a support area, was shattered in November, became somewhat resistance. We didn't even really pull all the way back up into it here on mid-January, and now we're selling off hard. So yeah, I think that you know, the volatility, you know, started, you know, with the, I guess you could almost say it started with Bitcoin on Thursday, and then, you know, we got the commodities, and it wasn't just gold and silver on Thursday or Friday. I mean, it didn't matter what you were in when it came to many of these in here. You know, platinum, palladium, ETF, lithium and battery technology, uranium. Of course, that's been volatile all week. That's been, you know, pretty crazy. So yeah, a lot of volatility going on there. Now, I want to take a look at the Qs. All right, let me pull up the Qs right here. Here's daily and weekly. Let's just start off with the weekly view for now. This broadening top pattern is still really in play, although what I don't like about it is it's taken a long time with this arc right here and this move up to the top for, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little bit of a throw over up in here, and it has really struggled to break down. It just hasn't done it yet. So we'll see if we get it, but it's the setup is still there. I mean, you really have to say it's, you know, that the pattern's still there. Now, the interesting thing when you look here at the Qs on a daily, I'm watching this trend line. Okay, here's Thursday, Friday, but here's what happened on Wednesday. Look at this move back up. We got almost right, literally within a few cents of the high intraday of October 29th. And I've been talking about October 29th as a key pivotal point for many of the markets, okay? And it definitely is here on the Nasdaq 100. So now, is this your classic, you know, is this an A, B, C? I'm looking for the C wave to come down. Are we getting this kind of thing? This has been very messy, there's no doubt. But this is the way I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking we've got a 5-wave move that's going to come down. At a minimum, we'll be targeting this low, okay, at a minimum. Now, could it possibly continue to push higher in here? Could we go above this high? Yes. And if it does, I'd be looking at targets right up above like this, because if you have an expanded flat, which this is not right now it looks to me like a regular flat. But if you have an expanded flat, yeah, you can go beyond the beginning of wave A easily. And so right now we'll just continue to monitor, but I think this looks fairly vulnerable, okay? So the other thing I was looking at is looking at the Nasdaq Next Gen 100, the QQQJs, okay? Similar kind of broadening pattern, except it's showing it on the daily, okay, instead of the weekly. We got the throw over, now the breakdown, and the interesting thing about the J's is look how they went to a lower low in here below the January 20th, but the Qs did not yet anyway. Here's January 20th. So it'll be interesting to see are the J's leading it down or not. So that's what I'm looking at. Timing wise, what I find really, really interesting is, okay, today is February 1st, full moon, okay? And if you have kids or you have anybody who teaches in, elementary school, middle school, you know that things get kind of wacky, full moons. So you never know what kind of dynamic that is playing out, but there's a full moon today, all right? The other thing is February 3rd, which is Tuesday, is what we call a seasonal midpoint, okay? So just think about that in terms of seasonal midpoint of things that can kind of get a little wacky. And the other thing in terms of timing wise is many times when you look at key turning points, I look for 30, 60, 90 days, sometimes 180 days from key pivots and emotional points, okay? It can be days, weeks, months, okay? Same time frames. Well, it's interesting if you take October 29th and you go count 90 calendar days, you get January 27th, literally the day before the peak in here, that almost matched to identically in terms of, the price high and the close, etc. Got very close to the 29th, October 29th. So here was 90 days after. So now it's going to be really, really interesting to see, is that a key pivot? Are we going to come down to the bottom of this range that was established between that high and the November low? So that's what I'm watching for. I'm really thinking we're going to get a breakdown, but we got a lot, let the market show us, because who knows? It's crazy volatility. But right now, I mean, this just feels to me like it's ready to, break wide open. So we'll see. Okay, that's it for this weekend. If you found the video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. And everyone have a great weekend, rest of the weekend, and a great week. We'll see what happens this coming week. Talk to you on the next video.